Alright, so I'm just going to show you through the Lecente glitters that I got just recently from OMG Beauty Solutions. So Leah Light. Now the first one that I've got here is Ocean Spray, and I am putting this over Full Bloom. Now when I opened it, this was the first time I'd opened them, so it was really cute to see the little plastic lining on the inside, which meant that I didn't get glitter everywhere as soon as I opened the bottle. Probably a good thing because they were probably shaken like buggery when they were being sent out. And they're clearly sticky because I gave them a wee brush just to see if I could get any of the glitter back into the container, and not a bit came off. They make a good swatch though. So I'm just using a brush and pressing it into the inhibition layer on the polish, and this one I'm going to do a light fade, so I'm just pulling it back slightly and then just going to press it down. Now my brush is really firm, which is proving to be very useful with glitters because it means that I barely have to press it down. If I do keep my fingers covered just to make sure that I don't get any overexposure issues for myself. And then I'm just going to quickly top coat that and cure it. Now I would normally with most glitters use 2 layers of top coat, but after doing the first one I realised that I can actually do this with just one, which was really nice. A second coat of top coat would help it feel perfectly smooth, but I was actually really impressed at how smooth it felt right off the bat. And it looks so pretty. They look a bit matte when you first put them on, but as soon as you put the top coat over the top, they go shiny, shiny, shiny. So this is the second one. So this is the Rose Gold Ultra Fine Glitter. So the last one was an Ultra Fine as well. This time I'm putting it over the IBD Seashell Pink, which is generally a fairly almost translucent colour. Once again, we have to cut the top out. They make a really cute little swatch the piece though, because the glitter does not come off them. So if you cut them off nicely, you could probably keep them and stick them somewhere. So this time I'm going to do a whole nail, so make sure my brush is nice and clean because I was using the blue glitter before. So this time I'm going to press it into the whole nail. Now one thing to be really careful about is if you're using the inhibition layer, don't be too worried about using too much glitter. Dab your brush every time you make contact with the nail. If you don't, when you do this bit, which is brushing off all the excess and pressing the glitter down so it's nice and smooth, you'll find that you'll get gaps. If you're getting gaps, it's because you've pressed your brush onto the inhibition layer with no glitter on it. So sometimes you can pull back and the brush will look like it's brushed the glitter over, but if the inhibition layer's already gone off the nail, there's nothing for the glitter to stick to. So I hear people say, it looked like the glitter was on and then I put the top coat on and the top coat dragged the glitter off. That's why. So dab your brush in the glitter, press it on one spot on the nail. Dab your brush in the glitter, press it on one spot on the nail. That way you'll find your inhibition layer covers. So this is the rose gold, gets a really lovely solid coverage. You can't even see what colour was under it. Now the next one is Constellation Stardust Pigment. So this is a little bit different. It's not a traditional glitter, it's a pigment. So I'm putting it over IBD Patchwork. So I do have a really bad habit of tapping my containers because I'm used to glitters that are open. So that's going to be a hard one to get out of. But once they've been opened, it's probably not a silly idea just to give the lid a quick tap before you open it, just to make sure any loose glitter that's on the lid is tapped back into the container before you open it. So this is super sparkly. So again, I'm going to use a smaller brush for this, and I'm actually going to brush it down into the inhibition layer. But again, you kind of want to always make sure that when your brush contacts the inhibition layer, there is enough powder on your brush that you're not just wiping the inhibition layer off. So I worked that in really hard, and I actually pressed really firmly with my smaller brush, which has got much firmer bristles, so it works it in really nicely. And then I'm just going to give it a quick rub with my finger, just so that I know that's really worked in, and that gives a really cool effect. Pigment powders change the colours really nicely without leaving those big glitter particle looks. And once you top coat it, you can really see the pigment. So I'm just going to cure that just so that it's nice and shiny. Now some pigments work differently to others. This one didn't, the rubbing it in didn't really make too much difference. I think it looked just as it did after I rubbed it as it did before. So the next one is Flame Fireworks Glitter. This is so sparkly and is really, really cool. And I'm using it over IBD Bing Cherries. Now Bing Cherries is probably one of my most popular classic reds, true two-coater too, unlike some. So some of the IBD colours you need 3 coats, and this particular one you only need 2, which is really nice. So this one here, I'm going to do a fade working from the other side this time, because I still want to be able to see the red. This red is really popular. So I'm just going to blend it in and blend it back towards where I put the bulk of the glitter. And again, I'm actually pressing really firmly. You can't really tell on the video, but I'm actually pressing quite firmly, to the point where I was a little worried I might snap one of the fingertip nails off, but that's cool. They all stayed put. And occasionally with a bit of loose glitter, it's not a bad idea to wipe the brush before you put your top coat brush back into your bottle. If you give it a quick wipe and get at least most of the glitter out, it means that the next one you do won't be quite as glittery. So those are stunning. So that's the first 4 glitters that I got from Lecente. So now I've done a little bit more and I have painted some more. So this next one is the black holographic glitter. And I'm going to put that over the black lava IBD polish. So black lava. Nice black, 2 coats, fully covers. Really like it. So more pretty dots. They're so sparkly. So again, I've made sure my brush is really nice and clean, and I've gone for the little firm brush. So if you notice, I dip every time I pat, and once I start to run out of glitter, I go get more. So this one I'm going to do a full cover because I wanted to see just how well it covers. So now, as you can see, I'm brushing the excess off back into the pot. I like to try and save my glitter. When I'm working on someone's finger, I often put the pot right underneath their fingernail. But I've pressed that in really firmly with my brush, and then pressed it in with my finger just to make sure there's no little loose bits floating around. So as you can see, that's amazing. It's really, really pretty, this one. This is one that I think everyone should have in their collection, at least one of the holographic glitters. So the next one I'm going to do is the Eclipse Stardust Pigment. So this one is a little bit thicker looking than the other pigment that I had, which was the Constellation Stardust. But this looks like a really stunning rose gold. It's got that kind of pinky, beigey, oh, hard to describe, but it's delicious. Kind of goldy. Oh, love it. Look at that. It's so shiny. So again with this one, I'm going to go over the whole nail. So I'm using my little wee brush. I really like this one for whole nail work because it makes sure that I don't miss anything. It makes sure that I get the pigment or glitter everywhere it needs to be. It takes me a little bit longer, but I find with the smaller brush I don't tend to waste as much. I find I put a little bit less on. The bigger brush gives me better blending, but this one gives me better cover. So I went nice and firm with that one. Oh, look, so pretty. So just going to run the top coat over that one. And you can really see that pink and gold shimmer now. It's such a fine glitter in that one. Really, really pretty. Because that was using something fairly neutral, I thought was quite close to what it was. So that's one side done. So that was Cashmere Blush, which is the polish underneath. And Eclipse Stardust. So the next one I'm going to do is the white holographic glitter, and I chose to do it over the IBD whipped cream, which Takes about 3 coats to cover usually, but it's quite a good white. Seems to cure really well. So sparkly. I love holographic glitters. I'm hoping this one might work really well for the sugaring technique, but for this one I'm just going to fade it into the bottom of the glitter and the bottom of the polish. So again, pressing it down really firmly with this one because these glitters are a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to dust it up and press it down. Always like to give them a good press with my finger just to make sure that there's no little bits sticking up that will catch in your top coat and leave like a little rough spot for clients. Clients hate that. Rough nails are bad. At least my clients don't like it. They find that they pick. If you get one little piece that's rough, it's a picking spot. So I try to make sure that I get them all really nice and smooth, and pressing them down at the end. Really important to use finger cots to make sure that you don't open yourself up to any overexposure issues on yourself. Stay safe, guys. So the next one, this is really pretty. Treacle Multi Glitz Glitter. Now, Naturally Beautiful is the colour I've decided to put underneath it this time, but I'm going to try for a full cover. Now, when I look at the side and when I look at the top, they look really different. This top piece looks really, really gold, but when I open it up, it looks blue. Blue and purple. The sides look purple, so I was really surprised to see the gold on the inside of the sticker. So there must be quite a bit of gold in there. So with this one, I'm going to be really careful to try not to pull it over. So when you pull it over like I've just done now, what you're going to find is now anything I do after that is not going to stick so well. And it's one thing I do warn people about when you're putting glitter on. You've got to kind of dab it into place before you pull. If you have a look now, you can actually see, press it down, there's a couple of gaps there. So you can try and put glitter on, but as you can see, the inhibition layer is gone. So once your inhibition layer is gone, you've got no sticky left. So your only option is to put a little bit of top coat on and then press a little bit more glitter into the top coat that's sitting there before you cure it. Works sometimes, doesn't work so well other times, so I'm just going to use my tiny brush to pick up a couple of, particularly just a couple of those big pieces, and stick them on. But that one's definitely going to require a second layer of top coat. It will absolutely have to have it, or it's going to feel really rough to the client. Something that you kind of want to avoid as much as possible. So yeah, it looks fine, but yeah, definitely a second coat of top coat will make all of the difference with that one there. So that's a what not to do. Dragging your brush over your inhibition layer will get rid of it, will stop your glitter sticking. So if you're getting patchy bits, or if you're getting glitter that moves when you put your top coat on, that's more than likely what you've done. Right, so the next one, we are using the black ultra fine glitter. So this one is not holographic, it's just black and shiny. This one's possibly not quite as bright as I would have hoped, but I'm going to use a really bright polish underneath it. I've picked Sargasso Sea. So that's a really stunning bright blue. I love this one, it's really metallic. So I'm going with my big brush again. So make sure they're really clean. I do like this brush because I find that it actually does naturally not hang on to the colours. So as soon as I give it a wipe, just the glitter seems to pretty much fall out of it. It's really nice. It's actually a concealer brush. So in case any of you are wondering, both my brushes are eye makeup brushes, so they came in a pack with a bunch of other makeup brushes, but this particular one was a concealer brush, the wide one, and the little narrow one is a eyeshadow brush. But they're both very, very firm bristles, so when I press down into the glitter, they actually press it down really nicely. They mean that I actually don't have to press too hard with my finger with these ones. Like this one here, I haven't pressed at all, and it actually looks just as smooth as the others. I do find the Lecente glitters are fine in thickness, which is different to some of the other brands. It does make them a lot easier to use, makes it a lot easier to get a smoother result. I've got lots of Glittergasm and Glitter Haven and some of those I find, because of the thickness of each little piece of glitter, it can be a bit tricky to get them to lay flat. You have to press them really well. These you don't, and this one's my favourite, and I've saved it till last. This one here is the Apple Iridescent glitter, and oh my god, it is delish. I've been so looking forward to trying this one. I'm actually thinking that this one will end up on my nails as a whole nail. Or maybe all of them. Look, it's so sparkly. This one is definitely amazing, so I picked black lava to go over it this time because I wanted to make something that was going to really contrast with it and really make that green pop. Now, one thing I do notice is when you're putting glitter into the inhibition layer, it kind of looks dull. When I look at it, like, I often think, oh, it just doesn't look as shiny as I'd hoped. But don't panic, because one thing I do notice, as soon as you put that top coat on, that glitter will just pop out. It just goes from, oh, that's pretty, to, oh my god, look at this. It's amazing. And I don't use that word lightly. So these glitters have turned out to be some of my absolute favourites so far. So now I'm going to show you the whole palette. So these are my brushes, just a quick close-up so you can see what I was using. Both makeup brushes, the wide one, concealer brush, the narrow one, eyeshadow brush. So now I'm going to hold them up so you can see, but I mean you can see now, you can see the reflection of the holographic on the black there, and even the fireworks glitter. Sparkly!